Here we are again, it's Jujutsu Kaisen on
Whoa!
KHANTEHNT.
We're back to this one.
We are back to this one.
You thought we would never be, and then you subscribed to our Subscribe Star anyway.
For $10.
You needed those bonus episodes in your life.
That is absolutely true! Pat Labor 2 is a great movie. Also other ones we talk about there as well. Now watch this advertisement. Hey kids, want to impress your friends and induce sexual arousal in your neighbors? KHANTENT t-shirts!
Wow, I've never been more impressed in my life with anything!
KHANTENT now has official t-shirt merchandise, and you can get yourself some by clicking below the video or in the Teespring link in the description. With designs like the classic KHANTENT logo.
Or this!
I've got a shirt on too.
Or this. KHANTENT!
In these trying times, why not tell the world you'd rather be watching Eurocant from inside your cozy can tent?
They're a great way to support the show and share your KHANTENT pride. So get out there, wear them, and get into KHANTENT. KHANTENT! All right, so the people have been clamoring for it. Talk more about Jujutsu Kaisen. Have your opinions changed at all? How are you feeling?
You know, this was not nearly as intolerable as the previous sets of episodes.
Much better.
It was much
better,
better.
yeah.
Mostly...
Didn't I say if we waded through, there might be a light on the other side, and I think we've sort of arrived there.
I don't know if I'd say I see a light. I see it's not pitch black anymore.
Yeah, okay.
I still don't really have much hopes for the series going forward because it still hasn't established anything that makes me go like, I need to see this happen. Like,
right. Well, you know what? I did a little research as I was looking into this. Something about Jujutsu Kaisen like felt weird. Like they referenced a character all the time that never shows up. I'm like, what is going on here? So with just a little bit of digging, I found out the secret truth that maybe people out there know, but weirdly was never mentioned in like the anime at all. Did you know that Jujutsu Kaisen is actually a sequel series to it's not a prequel, it's a predecessor. Here's the scoop, gang. I forget the mangaka's name, but the mangaka did an intentionally short series called Tokyo Metropolitan Curse Technical School, which was 4 chapters long in Shonen Jump, and was localized as Jujutsu Kaisen 0, Jujutsu High, the main character of which is this guy Yuta, who the characters keep mentioning, but we never see, because he was the main character of a predecessor series. That fact alone makes a huge difference, but at the same time, it doesn't actually absolve the anime of being confusing, because the anime doesn't show any of that whatsoever. So I'm still perplexed as to why they chose to present these things. You'd think they would like cut to some clips of that guy. He's presented with like mystery, characters like, where's that guy? I want to see that guy Yuta, the big Toudou guy. And you're looking at the cover like him and Panda and like the guy who speaks power words, they knew each other or something. And that short series was so popular, they were like, okay, let's make it a long-running thing. And he was like, okay, I will turn it into Jujutsu Kaisen, and that's the anime we have now. Interesting story, and it helps me understand at least like why things felt a little bit weird when they were talking about characters. Some of the characterization we were like, why aren't they doing this yet? Is because they did it in the predecessor series for some of the characters.
very strange to not adapt that stuff into the anime.
Not one bit. Not one bit.
Well, I don't know how important that stuff ultimately will be to know. Maybe I would be more hyped for the future of the series if I knew more about this Yuta character.
I'm not claiming. All this stuff about Sukuna and the fingers, I believe is original to Jujutsu Kaisen, this series we're in now. All that stuff was made up like for our main character's Yuji's history and stuff, or what his path is going to be. I don't know, it makes the world feel more like, oh, that's why everything's so weird and strange. So...
well, have you read those chapters? Because it might not make it feel less weird
I have
and
not. It's a get out of jail free card that I'm giving the show, not the show, but the manga at least.
Sure.
You know, I gotta say, I came into this episode far more charitable for one reason alone. It was because the first scene we see, coming back in episode 14, was my man smoking a fat pipe and just being like, think about it logically. There's nothing more cucked in this life than having a daughter. You have to think about it logically. It was absolutely hilarious. And, you know, it's just a meme it made me think of. That alone...
Is that a brain he's smoking?
It's like a weird brain demon curse thing that he's smoking. I don't know why he included this. This got me laughing immediately and off on the right foot. And then I was like, I'm not gonna take this that seriously. I'm just gonna enjoy the ride.
That is the important thing here, I think. Like,
Yeah.
with this show, it was tonally kind of confusing up until this point.
It was
where,
very
like,
edgy at times.
Very edgy. Most of the characters were like, as I kept saying, they're all either badasses or hardasses. Still kind of true, but like as we go into this tuning exam arc, which I'm going to call it because I don't know what it's
what it is.
What else? What did they? Is there official name for what they're doing here?
Oh, it's like the inter-exchange cultural event between like Kyoto and Tokyo or whatever.
Tuning
like
exam
yeah.
arc that we've entered. The comedy has been ramped up a lot. There's a lot less implication of impending death or violence. Like, we don't see a lot of random people getting killed or anything like we did in the first half.
A little bit, but when it's appropriate.
There's just much more of a feeling of all these characters being maybe not necessarily permanent, but important in some way. And
It felt like it really became like a normal shonen, the way I'd been wanting it to, in the form of like one of the big tropey shonen things, a tournament arc, basically.
It would have made so much more sense to have had this already, for this to have come before the last arc, just because of the fact that most of these characters were already introduced and then just shelved for like 7 or 8 episodes while our main guy did something completely different, and now they're all back.
This is why it's so interesting. I haven't read the prequel chapters. I don't know this, but like if I had read that prequel story, it's not a prequel, it's a predecessor. I actually hate when people confuse those terms. It was written first. It's the predecessor. This is a sequel. Just a pet peeve of mine. Forgive me, everybody.
The pre-sequel.
Something like that, yes. Things like the big muscle man who showed up with that girl like episodes ago before, like this is like his real introduction in this batch of episodes and was much better. I bet that was like, hey, remember this guy from those couple of chapters? We're showing him to remind you that he's going to be
big
around.
Muscle dude?
Toudou, the big muscle man.
He having introduced him before was not even.
It didn't matter.
Didn't matter at all.
No.
This character is now a character.
Yeah,
he just wasn't back then. Most of them weren't. Like most of them just came in and sat around, and like now this arc is literally every single character getting their backstory. Like, here's what they're about, here's their fighting style, here's what they do. Okay, are we all on the same fucking page now?
It's almost so straightforward, it's a little funny.
It is funny.
So
it is actively funny.
It's before it was like not doing enough shonen-y-ness stuff to get you attached. Now it's like pure distilled shonen crystallized gems. And it's like, I understand the current issue it's having is that it's a little bit too much like that now. It's not bad, but like how many times do I need to hear a shonen story of like, I don't know, my family had high expectations. It's just Neji. It's just like Neji shit for some, everyone's a Neji or a Naruto or like these archetypes I've seen 1,000 times. Again, it's good and I'm actually praising it for hitting on this stuff, but like surely there would have been a better balance to have between the episodes rather than like waiting for all this stuff later.
Again, I mean, when I think about Naruto and the Chunin exam, which does come at kind of a similar time, where you've had like a couple of little arcs with the characters, but like, it never separated them. It was like Sasuke and Naruto fighting as a unit up until this point.
We're still getting to know them, yeah.
So it was weird that we separated them, and then it's still kind of weird because when we come back and it's 2 5-man cells, they don't start by having the characters we've been waiting for reintroduced and have their backstories explained. They start with all the new characters fighting and having their backstories explained. So it still takes like 3 more episodes before black-haired dude, pitched as the Sasuke, the rival, the like second main character early in the show, finally gets like his backstory episode in like episode 17 or 18
to be fair, that guy got like spotlight already. In at least some ways, he fought Yuji when he was all, you know, Monster Man. Like, again, we didn't get a lot of like backstory. We got little hints, so you still want that backstory later as to what his deal is and stuff. But like, they're probably trying to divide spotlight at least a little bit to not give it too much to that guy. Even though in Naruto, they had no problem giving Sasuke, you know, all the spotlight for a long period of time. And that was fine for that series. Listen, what I'm trying to get to, personally, is that this was much better, and I actually liked much of what happened here. It's a classic shonen trope like tournament arc where they bring in new characters, they introduce their backstories. They were good. Here's an example. One of the first fights is between Mechamaru and Panda. This is like the first real fight we get, kind of. And that fight, what do we learn? Okay, Mechamaru. Oh my god, is he a robot? No, we learned he's a long-distance curse user. He was born, he's like that SpongeBob guy. He was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning he breaks his legs, and every night he breaks his arms.
Directly.
I loved it. But like, okay, I can understand why he's got powerful curse powers. He probably curses his life every single day. Meanwhile, Panda is like the logical extension of the principal of the Tokyo school who we know raises puppets. He's like a flesh golem who's been animated in the form of a panda man, and he's got powers based on that. He's a construct combined with like other souls too. Whoa, so he has different forms he can use, including a secret one we're saving for a later fight. Yes, that's the shonen shit that makes a series interesting and me like cohere to. So they fight and there's a conclusion and it's dramatic and good, but it's the bare minimum you need for like a shonen fight thing.
All shonen manga really needs is like conceptual characters. It's not really about them. I mean, you can make them good later, but as long as the characters have an interesting idea of why they exist, it goes a long way. And that's, like you said,
Mechamaru's face immediately, you see him and you're like, what's this guy's deal?
You're like, okay,
it's
he's a robot?
Yeah.
Okay, and then he's got Iron Man powers, so you're like, okay, maybe he's in like a suit. And then like you see a guy like presented, but there's a dude in like a bathtub, and he's got all these wires coming down. Kind of reminds me of something from X 1999, the Beast. But yeah, he's just like this fucking fallen apart, frail person in a bathtub somewhere else.
Yeah,
controlling this robot. That is the stuff that I was like, oh, thank God there's something here. Because like just watching them fight, I don't really care that much. And powers can be. The thing about like shonen powers is that you can describe a power that sounds cool. It's all about the execution. It's about like anybody can have time-stopping powers, but what do you do with time-stopping powers? You know, like something like that. In this show, the powers none of the powers that have been established by any of these characters have been used in a way that made me go like, oh man, I'm so glad they set that up to do this. You know, I'm sure that's what they're doing now. Like all this is set up to maybe eventually have something more.
People love Gojo, right? The Kakashi of the series, and they set up like, whoa, his powers are about like infinite connection and like how you can never touch him because of that that philosophical concept I can't remember. So that it can build to what? A really big purple blast.
Yeah.
Whoa! Oh my God!
Giant
so
lasers.
Philosophical. Look, look, it's so obvious what they're doing. They hook you with a little bit of like philosophy so they can back end you with shonen big blasts. And I don't blame anyone. When I was a kid, I would love that shit. I'm just saying I enjoy as an older person now looking back and being like, I see what they're doing now. I see the tools at work to get kids to think they're really smart for liking this particular purple shonen blast. Not that they really did much with that in this particular case, but like that's what's going on, and it's funny. Like having a really punished glass bones and paper skin character. Funny, I get what it does, and it builds to like the characters fight, we see their powers, and at the end, they like become best friends. Panda and the guy, he's like, hey man, you know what your problem is? You've given up on life too soon, but me, I'm gonna be your best friend. Now that we fought and our manly souls have clashed, I understand your character arc, and I'm gonna come be your buddy. And this is just what happens. It's so distilled, crystallized shonen shit in one episode.
So something similar happens with, what did you say the big guy's name was?
Toudou.
Toudou and Yuji have their whole bonding experience, but it's
this stuff right here, yeah.
Toudou's gimmick, which is probably my favorite thing that happens in this entire show.
I agree. He's the best character so far.
Is that when he decides? Okay.
There's a lot of layers to the man that is Toudou. Let's step one at a time.
His whole thing has been, since he was introduced, that he asks people, like, what kind of woman are you into?
Yeah.
And last time, the other dude was just like, I don't know, I like whatever.
I'm
and
gay,
he was like,
bro.
No, the answer is tall women with a fat ass.
Yeah,
you were wrong,
yeah.
and he beats him up for an episode.
The setup. There
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
So now we've got Yuji goes, oh yeah, I like tall girls with big asses, like Jennifer Aniston.
He said Jennifer Lawrence, actually.
rather.
By the way, I
Same
Googled Jennifer Lawrence. I wouldn't say she has the hugest ass, but it's serviceable.
Maybe by Japanese standards.
By Japanese standards, definitely true.
but
She's
yeah.
5'9", incidentally.
Oh,
He
I
said
did
he
not
liked.
know Jennifer Lawrence was that tall.
That's pretty tall, yeah.
Now you know.
Fair enough. I wanted to verify.
But yeah, so Toudou hears this, and he immediately fabricates an entire life that him and Yuji have led. It's like they've been friends since middle school now, in this man's mind, like for real. He is
He manifests that reality like a reality marble. The friendship between him and Yuji.
Yuji's like, I have no memories of any of this. This man has like deep memories of his ties to Yuji that are like
best friend. All
they
that
keep like
shit.
they subtly like keep bringing it back because there's another part where he just kind of like visualizes a girl like telling him what to do in a fight he's in.
That's specifically, that is Takada-chan, the idol that he specifically loves and watches all her stuff. Yeah.
So he goes like, his mental conversation with himself is to be in middle school with her and her like stumbling into the room telling him what to do. It's just an interesting mind this man has.
He's the greatest character of all time. I thought he was going to be bullshit. How could he go from that shitty, retarded, when he's introduced, he's like, I'm not going to do what you guys tell me. I'm going to be a raging bull and just do whatever I want. By the way, he is the top rated. He's like the first tier fighter. Everyone else is like a lower tier than him. That gimmick you're talking about, he talks about, there's like a weird cutaway where he talks about how he has a self-perceived 530,000 IQ.
That's right.
What does that mean? And then he's in the middle of a fight, right? An attack is coming at him. He's like, I will block this attack. He retreats to his weird middle school girl fantasy where she explains to him the idol that he has a parasocial relationship with. She informs him that he needs to not use curse energy because that attack actually feeds off curse energy. And then he realizes this, and then it cuts back to real life, and it says on screen, he did all of this in 0.01 seconds. This entire fantasy happened. So maybe he does have like a 530,000 IQ. That's really smart. And he, successfully blocks the attack and shit. So cool, so cool. And it's his bond with Yuji, his weird best friend thing. I thought it was annoying.
Is this a JoJo reference?
It could be. It looks like it. This is when they're finally in sync, the two of them. I didn't know what was exactly the game plan here. I thought it was kind of stupid and gimmicky that he just kept saying best friend. But the more he did, I was like, that is kind of funny that he's still saying, it's been like 2 episodes, he's still saying it. And then finally, when Yuji himself returns, when he's like, we're gonna do it, and he's like, yes, best friendo. I was like, that is the punchline I've been waiting for. Yuji returning it. He has fully indoctrinated this man into his reality marble of friendship. It was based. It was great. And I'm like, remember how I was talking about how I liked the business suit man with his one little backstory thing?
Yeah.
This is what the story needs more of. This is what makes it good. That's what keeps me entertained. These weird backstories inserted in like other cutaways, conversations for the characters. And they are great when they do them correctly. Yeah.
I agree. I think my biggest complaint about this show continues to be how disorganized it is, because a lot of that stuff, there's lots of stuff that is interesting, but it's in a weird moment, or it comes at a time where you're like, well, why didn't you tell me this before? Like this whole tuning exam that they're doing, like their mission is, it's the two groups of 5 competing with each other to kill a certain number of the little demon guys that are around. But all of the other team is just determined to kill Yuji. Like, that is the subtext of what's going on. We're going to kill Yuji, that's it. It's not until, like, 2 episodes into this happening that they actually explain what the benefit of doing the thing is. Like, notwithstanding people's desire to kill Yuji, which is that, like, they will be advanced through the ranks based on the teachers, like, watching them perform and recommending them. But, like, your teacher can't recommend you, so it's like, and there's also seems to be like clan heads can fuck with it because like there's one girl who should be higher rank but her family won't let her because they don't like the way that she should be a higher rank.
That's a very anime way to do things. They throw you into like the fight where like 10 people are pointing guns at the character. Then they go back in a flashback, explain why this is happening, and then like let the fight play out. I don't know why they do that, but it's a thing they do a lot.
It feels just so. There's another one in this where like we've been watching characters fight with weapons for like a while. And then like 5 episodes into this arc, they finally establish, actually, these are all special demon weapons. They also have a grading system of 1 through 4. And it's like, I guess it didn't really matter until this moment in the fight when we had to ask a question about the weapon. But like, it just, there's a lot of moments
I think that's the author coming up with things as he goes, which is okay.
Me too. I don't even think it's the author. I think it's the editor coming up with shit as the author goes.
Now that I've done the backstory, we know that this whole series was like made up real fast. Like, oh, I guess I got to continue this story somehow. And I don't blame it. That's kind of one of the charming things about like ongoing manga like this. But it's worth noting and being like, is this actually a weird flaw or, And
one of the themes of the series is the idea of doing things by instinct, of not thinking too hard. hard and just going for it. That's basically what Toudou has to teach Yuji to use the Black Flash. Is that what it's called?
Yes, the Black Flash.
Yes.
Right.
Oh god, this is another one where like if the author had thought of the idea of the Black Flash, say 5 chapters sooner,
Maybe introduce it in a sentence somewhere.
they might have, or the best possible thing they could have done would have been back when he was training with the blonde guy with the butcher knife.
Right. Who's the record holder for the Black
for the Black Flash? Instead of what the show does, which is introduce the concept of Black Flash, then introduce the idea that it's only ever been done 4 consecutive times by this guy, and then cut away to a game show-esque interview where like he's just in a cafe. It's just that guy. No one else is there. This isn't a scene that really happened. It's a totally non-diegetic scene for the anime, which I do think is funny.
Yeah.
But it's just him going, well, I've used it 4 times. I don't know if it could be done more than that. And then immediately afterwards, Yuji does it 5 times in a row.
I counted 4, but it might have been 5.
Could we not have maybe had that guy, while they were fighting together before, do the 4 Black Flashes, all of us be super impressed? Will Yuji ever learn this extremely powerful move, you know?
Here's the problem. He backed himself into a corner, writer man. Maybe one day I'll learn his name. I don't know it offhand. He hasn't given Yuji any specific powers. They don't exist. Like, Naruto's fighting style, for example, was kind of weird until he got the Rasengan. It was like, I'll make a lot of clones and they'll all punch you. Like when during the Chunin exam, that culminates in him like with his summoning jutsu where he finally summons the big frog man to fight Gaara's summon thing. It's like you have to give your guys something they do, some specific attack that they can do. And there's this thing about, he's got like the desynchronous fist or whatever it is that's just a curse energy that hits afterward. But like the arc here is actually how that attack is bullshit and he needs to stop doing it. So it's like, well now what's our character left? We just established that attack last arc. He's got to do a new thing now. And now it's this thing of the Black Flash where only 1 in a billion sorcerers can do it, where they synchronize their attack, and if you do it 1/trillionth of a second within your punch, it's a Black Flash, and does specifically 2.5 times damage. First of all, just hit him 3 times. What's the big fucking deal about 2.5 times damage? I guess that's more than 1.
Yeah. Well, he did it 4 times, so ultimately I can't math that.
I'm just saying.
10 times damage?
If it's so hard to do a Black Flash correctly, just hit him 3 times for every 1 Black Flash, and you've more than compensated.
Seems like it.
Seemed like a strange way to I would have called it 10 times, or 20 times, I don't know. Anyway, the point is, there's a little bit of like weird, he didn't have enough stuff going into this fight, so he has to introduce something for Yuji to learn and do. And Toudou is like just the teacher right now. He's gonna teach him all the cool curse technique stuff, and he does grow a lot, which is fine and cool, but there's a little bit of a desperation scent in there.
Where I was going with that, with the Black Flash thing, yeah, he uses it by having super heightened instincts, by being able to instantly react. And so, as I look at this story, that from what you've described of it being suddenly brought back after a deliberately short thing, it feels like it's being written by the seat of its pants. The author is literally coming up with shit as he goes, trying his best, and just trying to make cool-looking stuff happen. And like, I think this anime, as of this arc, is an extremely successful action show.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's fucking so much action. And like...
And I care. I care about it because I like these people and they're giving them backstory and we're getting it, thank God. In short bursts, there's something about the backstory we're getting for these characters that works in the classic shonen way well that wasn't there before. Maybe it's just that I'm used to this format of like a tournament arc and a quick association with the character, and they're using the old trope of like, I'm the head of my clan, I need to carry on like the family legacy, and we're used to that. Something about it's different, and it's working, it's clicking far more now for me.
I don't think there's like been another long-form Shonen Jump adaptation with this much action animation in it. Like, normally these shows... Something like Naruto or One Piece will, like, every once in a blue moon for that very special fight, have that very special piece of Sakuga that gets used in every AMV for the rest of time. Jujutsu Kaisen, if you want to make some AMVs out of this, you've got the fucking buffet in front of you.
Yeah,
It's just insane. Like, there'll be episodes with, like, upwards of 7 minutes of just non-stop fighting. And that's cool. That's something you don't get a lot of, and it makes it so... I can appreciate that almost like God of High School, where I did like the story and characters in that, but I was less concerned about that than just the fact that it looked so cool, and you know, which Mappa also did that. So I feel like they're taking a kind of similar theory here of just, hey, you know, rule of cool. It doesn't matter if the show really makes that much sense. Do you want to watch people beat each other up with cool powers? This is like the optimal show for watching people beat each other up with cool powers, aside from maybe God of High School.
We've gotten there at last. And you know, I mean, we could talk a little bit, if we wanted to, about like more of the individual characters. I don't really feel it's necessary. Like, enjoy it on your own. Like, what can I say about, whoa, there's two sisters. One was more gifted, one was not gifted. They had an issue. They act like they hate each other. Secretly, one actually just misses her big, like, I saw that coming a mile away, people. Again, I like it, it's good, but like, what is there to say other than, I've seen it done before. I don't know. I liked the fight between the flying witch girl and our main girl.
That's right. There's a golden witch in this show.
That's true.
Shout
That's
out.
true. And I forget our character. The girl's name was Kugisaki Nobara, which I wrote down because she had a quote that I liked during this fight. And again, it's not deep, but it's these little bits that are good. Like the older witch is like, she's talking about how hard it is for like a woman to be a jujutsu sorcerer because they also have to be pretty and they have to be perfect. And she's looking up at Mai, who was like in this big family. She had so much expectation on her, all of which is fair to observe. But Nobara's response to this is just like, quote, I don't give a shit about being a man, a woman, or any of that. I love myself when I'm dressed up pretty. I love myself when I'm being strong. I am who I am, Kugisaki Nobara. And I was just like, yeah, baby, yeah. That's the winning attitude I like to hear. And again, like I could force myself to talk more about why I like it, or any of these character arcs. The point is, it's like a little nugget of wisdom in a shonen fight, and that's nice and good and cool, and that's kind of how this whole thing was, little nuggets of nice positive stuff. And that's why these episodes were so much more palatable and actively good and enjoyable than some of the previous stuff.
I was upset though that the no bad guys die again.
That's true. Some good guys, no named good guys die. Off-screen good guys die. Some like guards of a storeroom or something. So
It's just like this big monster thing shows up, another one of the high-level curses. They have to fight it a whole lot. They beat it to within an inch of its life. It seems to use all the fucking powers it has, but it still survives and goes underground with the other bad guys.
That right there, you gotta ask yourself, what is the purpose of a manga villain, if not to generally explain its particular philosophy a little bit, which we pretty much already understand, and use all the powers it can? Like, what are we saving this one for? Is it because at the end, as it shot its final blast, like it got killed by Sato or whatever, we've already seen all its techniques. It doesn't matter how many specific, you know, jujutsu points of damage it does, and we need to see if our characters can tank it. It's about maximizing interest of the tools you've given your characters. Like this one of Hanami, who I do like, is a cool, like, weird nature curse spirit combo kind of thing. But, like, it's done. What more do we need from this? It's just gonna die in, like, a fight in the future, and nothing really more will come, because it's not like it's a fascinating character or anything.
None of, like, so far, I don't know, it feels like we're trying to establish this cabal of villains, but they keep adding more in, where, like, it would be more forgivable, like, when Volcano Guy is still around, and, you know, white-haired...
My man.
Mahito, is that the main bad guy?
Mahito, yeah, I believe so.
So, like, Mahito is obviously going to be the central villain.
Yeah.
During the last arc, I was thinking that he would just be the villain of that arc and we get a new one. No, it seems like he's the guy. But as a result, like, there's 3 or 4 other people we've seen who are always around him. But now we've got, like, another one where there's, like, the blonde kid. And then we've got the demon that they just beat that is still alive. And it's just like, well, okay, like, are we trying to create just, like, this central cabal of villains who are all going to be important? Or are there going to be a ton of them and it just doesn't matter? Why do they all have to keep coming back? Why can't any character just be gone?
The way that Hanami's being treated, it really is, it is like being treated like their personality is developing. Like the way Mahito survived that fight. Mahito, like, grew significantly during that fight, unlocked, like, its reality marble or whatever. Like, Hanami also did that a little bit. It's like learning to enjoy fighting. We saw a bit of its full power, but not totally. They are being treated like characters that are going to, like, grow and stay with their characters. I just don't really know why, because they don't seem that interesting into themselves. Mahito is probably going to represent, like, the curse of, like, humanity against itself, or, like, something. It's like, oh, whoa, so interesting. okay, that's all fine, but I don't know. I'm happy to have a rotation of villains that introduce new concepts, because the thing about shonen characters, they're usually not that deep. You gotta just hit them hard and fast with little sparks of interest, because we're not writing War and Peace here. We're writing a shonen battle series.
I agree with that. And I think the best episode for characterization of all these characters is the last one we watched, which is the big baseball episode.
Yep.
This is a great anime trope in general. Get all your characters to play baseball in a big, dumb, goofy scenario.
Speaking of riding by the seat of your pants, though, did you like that, like, they clearly cut to, and they show, before the tournament happens, they're like, day 1 is a group fight, day 2 is individual fights. So it's like, all right, we're all ready for our Yu Yu Hakusho one-on-one tournament arc, and then they just are like, sorry, that was a lie, because the plot has already done a bunch of one-on-one fights.
Yeah.
We can't do that again. I see what you're doing there, author. That's fine. I'll give you a pass because it's better. But I see what's happening there.
So we get this baseball game of the two teams versus each other, see a little bit more of their teamwork and a lot more funny moments. There's these on-screen title cards that flesh out the characters a little bit. I think it must have been the two sisters, or maybe just two characters who are on the same team. But one of them, the first one's thing is recently like lost a mango that was in the fridge or something. And
yes.
Another one is like recently discovered she doesn't hate mangoes.
That was the pushover girl with the blue hair said had recently lost a mango. The mean girl said recently liked mangoes or something. Yeah.
So we get those little.
There's like a continuity thing going on through those little subtitles. Hilarious.
The best one is Godo, like his description of something that him and Yuji did in middle school, and Yuji denies this.
That's
like,
Toudou. That's Toudou.
Is that not what I said?
You said Godo, which is similar to Goto,
Goto,
but not Toudou. Yes.
Is there a Gojo in this?
There is no. There's no Gojo.
Isn't there a Gojo Satoru?
That's Goto. Satoru is Kakashi, and then Todo Aoi is the big man, I think. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, the fact that that references this fictional backstory, and this is like Yuji has no remembrance of this event. Good.
It took most of this show's sense of humor. I don't mind it. It's not obnoxious in the way that some shonen are. It kind of reminds me of Bleach and some of those other Naruto, for that matter. But like, it wasn't until this episode that it actually made me laugh. And the moment that got me was fucking wheeling out Mekazawa or whatever it is as a fucking
as a pitching machine.
As a pitching machine. And they're just like, what do you mean pitching machine? It's just his second body. It's just his B form. That was pretty fucking funny.
That was good. Yeah, there's some good jokes. I mean, you know, just going back to like this, when it was reciprocated and it became like a thing that they're best friends now, despite that literally not being true, he willed it into reality. I got active big laughs just from that concept. So yeah, like seeing it at the end, it's like we get our big fight arc and then the final episode where things are calming down. We can relax a little bit now. Now that all the characters are established, we can play with their relationships in a down-to-earth, like, calm scenario. Even though, I mean, one thing that I was enjoying was when like Blood Mage guy, who's like the inheritor of his clan, because he's actually like a bastard child, but none of the mainline inherited the blood jutsu powers, so he was like promoted and his mom's up. It's like, oh, a little tragic backstory there. I get that. He's fighting, Sasuke guy, Shikigami Sasuke.
Another thing I hate though is that they, after that fight, they Sasuke guy sees him do like a even cooler thing that he did in that fight. He's like, oh, he must have been holding back against me.
Right.
Why?
They both do that to each other because they're like, whoa, he can summon more guys. He was holding back against me too. They're doing it so they can have bigger fights in the future. Right. That's why.
I know. It's just it's annoying to think that all these characters are just not giving it their all for I don't know why.
I did enjoy the moment where the one sister with the gun just shoots her sister in the fucking head with a bullet, and she's like, "It's okay, I'm using rubber bullets." Well, don't use rubber bullets then, I guess. If you really hate your, I mean, they were all neutering themselves that whole fight. The big glasses sister had like her spear covered in a thing, and the blue hair girl's like, "I would have been dead several times if she hadn't been covering her thing." So it's a little funny that they're all kind of muffling themselves for the fight, but it is what it is for that arc.
But it's fun that they all go in wanting to kill Yuji. Now everybody's friends at the end.
Yeah.
This was the least dreadful arc of this show by far.
I actively enjoyed it. I
Didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I can remember. I will probably remember that these things happened.
Yeah,
that is a compliment to a show like this in my mind.
Indeed. Like, I remember that guy who wanted to turn Goto into a coat rack. He was very insistent on that one specific point. And there was the little ending omake thing where he's like, I will specifically do these steps to make him into a coat rack.
Yeah.
This is just his thing. I mean, that character got, like, cucked immediately by old man with guitar. Haha, he's an old man. You wouldn't expect him to play
Shred
guitar.
a guitar for his powers.
I gotta say, again, when we talked about the first part, I complimented the opening for having, like, the two characters, Yuji and the guy who dies, like, implied to become best friends, even though that never happens. And it's like, ooh, that's a little interesting subversion. The subversion of the opening is that there's a guitar at the end of the opening in the new one, and I'm like, well, that's obviously non-diegetic. No, the old man plays the guitar, despite looking like a old man, you know, traditional Japanese kind of guy. Epic lulls. That's big Bleach vibes for me. It's very stylish, very fun, unexpected things like that. Anyway, so all in all, pause vibes. I'm kind of curious to watch
Not
the end.
mad at Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't actually fear
I
watching
want
the
to
rest of
watch
this.
more. I
I'm
want to.
terrified to watch the last 3 episodes of ReZero.
I know.
Not this show.
Oh God, it's night and fucking day. Anyway, if you've had a good time watching this, strap in for the ReZero episode coming in 2 days. Or so. But first, go to subscribestar.com/KHANTENT. Give us $10 for bonus episodes and for our improving opinions on Jujutsu Kaisen that we know you've been dying to hear. And it did happen. It did happen. We also go to Twitter and a Discord where you can join and talk to us, look for clips and whatnot. And you can also send Kanten clips at the end of the episode. We don't always have them, but if we do, it might be here.